We're on the bar clock.
Oh, we got to turn the AC off.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do a 10 seconds of just cricket.
Right. Yeah, we have to do 10 seconds of silence.
Actually, you know what?
Everyone?
We can't. We don't have to. The cricket's in there. I can't pull them out.
Yeah, good.
The cricket.
Good. We're going.
Warts and all.
We're
Crickets
back.
make me nervous. I hate crickets.
I have a similar but different awkward.
I'm from New York
fears and
City, so I have
annoyances.
this cricket thing, right? I don't know if you're familiar with the Marlon Brando line,
No,
but the crickets make him nervous, right?
Like noisy roaches.
no, but I see that's the same.
It's in that
quote.
movie where his brother is a union guy, and they end up, it's called On the Waterfront.
On the Waterfront.
Yes. Crickets make me nervous. But it's
Mexican
true.
cops, not so much.
No, actually, for some reason, I had no fear of them.
This is part 2 of the Electric Dave podcast, and we're getting into when we left you last, listener. We were at the Mexican border. The cops searching your car. Were we?
No, we weren't.
Oh, that was off. That was off. The
Oh,
air.
we were in Naco at my buddy who had the chief of police, but I really want to describe one of the rides up to the border with 50 pounds of weed in the car, right?
How far were you traveling from, like, where you got the weed to?
Like 500 miles.
All right.
It's a long way.
And you get stopped by a Mexican cop.
We
that
get
wants
stopped
to
by
search
a-
your car.
We get stopped by a Mexican checkpoint, and they have the smudge pots. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but they look like bowling balls with a little flame on top. You know, and the Mexicans had these for a long time, and that was their main method of lighting the road or blocking the road. They look like cannonballs or something,
Yeah,
right?
it was 1789 in
It
colonial
was.
America.
I mean, the Mexicans really didn't get it together till like 15 or 20 years ago, and then they fucking moved up really quick, right? But in the old time, it was like, they have the
Literally.
thing, you know, so... And it's so dark, you can't even tell you're getting pulled over. You go in and it's like, Jesus, what are those candles in the road? And they pull us over, and we got 50 pounds of weed in my ranch, 61 Ranchero, right? And then and so the guys are like, they come up to the car, me and Killer in the car, and we got our stuff from the chief of police before we left, right? So we could make it the whole drive, right? So we get pulled over, and the cops they're actually they're actually military guys, and they're saying get out of the car in Spanish, right? I can't remember how to say that, but anyway, they're going on and on, get the fuck out of the car, get out of the car. I said, Killer, they're telling us to get out of the car. Killer says, we're not getting out of the fucking car because we got 50 pounds in the car, right? He says, we're not getting out of the car. I said, and the cops are starting to get a little agitated. We're like going, I said, no comprende español. And I'm like going, huh? What? Okay? You know? No understando. It was
He searches your car
so anyhow, at this point, they finally
with a candle.
They put the M1s on us, whatever they got. The old fucking bolt action things.
Yes.
They got those on us, right? You know,
Muskets.
muskets. They got actually they're M1s.
You got to remember, Electric Dave has had to meet these stories out over decades in Bisbee. So every night it's a new story.
Yeah.
No, it's the same story, more or less.
No, but I'm saying at this time, no, this is 20 years worth.
Oh, yeah, this is a long time ago. I'm trying to, like, condense it, right? So, anyhow, these guys pull out these old guns, and the guy just pointed at him. They pointed at me and Killer, and me and Killer says, we're not getting out of the car. I said, Killer, I think we better get out of the fucking car. And we're, like, high as fuck because we've been doing coke just to drive this far, right? You know? And we're smoking pot. But we threw that away, right? So,
all except for the 50
50 pounds.
except for the 50 pounds,
in the
right?
sidewalls.
So,
I don't have any more personal stuff, man.
So they get us out of the car and they put Killer like 10 feet over there. They put me over 10 feet over here, and they got these guys pointing these antique military guns at us, and they're trying to search my Ranchero, and they I can't remember the name for flashlight, but it's a very common Mexican word.
La Luma.
El Flashlighto.
Stop.
Sorry.
Something
No.
like that. So anyhow, and the guy,
Flashlight.
and I said, "Oh yeah, see, I said, yo tengo," and I give him one. And so then they take that flashlight and they don't have one. It's so fucking dark. They get these little fucking candles in the road, and then they're searching my fucking car. They got guns pointing at us, and I can see Killer. His eyes are red as fuck, and we're both sweating as motherfuckers. We're both just dripping, right? And it's not even that warm, right? You know, it's late at night, you know, and then they're going through the truck, and they pull the seat forward, and there's 50 pounds of weed stuffed into this 61 Ranchero. And, you know, and they pull the seat forward, And I could smell the weed, right? Because weed, when it's really fresh, smells like flowers, right? It smells like roses or something, right? So, and we just picked it the day before, right? So we wrapped it up in these fucking saran wrap things in the field and stuffed it into the truck, totally fresh, right? We ended up losing a little bit of weight, but it wasn't a big deal. So so we get, these guys are like, they're searching our truck, and me and Killer.
With your flashlight.
With my flashlight. And Killer and me are looking at each other
I don't even
going,
think you got to that part. You got to the.
yeah, I gave him the flashlight. They're searching my truck with my flashlight, and me and Killer are looking at each other with these fucking bloodshot eyes. And Killer's going, should I grab the fucking gun now or not? You know, and then, I mean, that's why I can see that in his eyes because he's a pretty vicious guy, right? So we just grab the gun now and take these fucking 6 guys out.
Yeah, like Deer Hunter, the
Didi Mao.
Didi Mao scene. Yeah, we can take them all out. When
Yeah, but
you're
we didn't
coked
know if
up,
there
you
was
feel
bullets
like
in those
that.
guns,
So when
right?
Killer wasn't gardening,
Yeah, when he wasn't gadding, he was pretty vicious, right? So anyhow, we're sitting there and we're staring at each other and we're sweating bullets. And it's late at night, and they're going through the truck, and they flip the truck seat forward, and you could actually, there's like some holes in the body where you could see into the back, and there's weed wrapped in fucking saran wrap stuffed back there, right? You know, and then, and the guy reaches down there with the flashlight. So, okay, here we go. And then he reaches down and he grabs a box of brake shoes that are in a sealed white box. He picks them up and he shakes them and he puts them back down. And I realized at that point that these guys had no fucking clue, right?
They're looking for valuables?
Well, he takes a white box that's sealed and he picks it up and shakes it and puts it back. I said, I have no clue that this fucking truck is full of weed.
Brake pads, right?
Yeah, they're brake pads. Or brake shoes at that point. They're 61, right? You know, so, and then we're like, and I started to relax. I don't know if Killer understood the depth of that thing, but it was like, oh, these guys had no clue. That's what I realized. So anyhow, we get down, we get done, and we like thank them all, and we get back in the truck, get my flashlight back, and say, and we reach down under the dash, pull out the rest of the coke, and just like,
on the road.
we're on the road again, right?
We're going to fast forward to when this becomes a business for you.
Okay, so it becomes a business. So I'm going on it like every 2 weeks.
Just weed or coke?
Just weed. I'm just doing the coke just to get.
Coke is
that's just
medicinal to deliver weed.
It's a facilitator,
Right.
You know, so because they have to. I drive. It's a 10-hour drive, right? You know, you do it at night mostly, and on Mexican roads.
It's a triple gig.
It's
Don't worry,
fucking.
people will get that. A few of them.
Yeah, it's a fucking intense thing at night in Mexican roads on the back roads, right? Where there's no white lines on the edges or in the middles, or there's holes in the road everywhere. I mean, it was fucked up back then, right? But you know, in the truck.
How often are you doing this?
Every 2 weeks, right? And so,
And how much product?
okay, I'm making.
Let's go street value.
I'm doing 25 grand street value every 2 weeks.
That's what you're making.
$80.
$80.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing this all the time, and it's like every 2 weeks. And like the problem is in Mexico, I used to stop in Mexico in Guaymas and buy all this fish and throw it in because the truck reeked like weed, right? So I buy all this fish, right?
Oh,
Perfect.
Sorry, but we do this when we were renting cars before we bought the Suburban to go on tour.
Tour vans.
And now it's a $250 fine for smoking in the van. And I'm like, let's just get some takeout curry or just even a load of shrimp.
Right, and put it right on the transmission tunnel where it heats the fuck up.
They
right,
don't
you know?
care about it's the specific stink they worry about. And you go, there's no $250 fine
Shrimp
for
wellness.
traveling with flounder that's hot.
Yeah, they, you know. I mean, it could be an ex-girlfriend or something, right?
Hey, that's
You know,
a
but-
life hack. Hey, guys, this is a life hack.
Hey,
You're turning some
yes.
people onto some really cool shit.
I got to the point where I'd get the fish in Guaymas and I put it in the back, and I borrowed this fishing rod from my neighbor's kid just to cover my whole thing. But it was a fly fishing rod. It was ridiculous because I'm bringing all the seafood back right now.
Nice.
Well, if they don't understand weed from brake shoes,
Yeah,
they
but-
don't know a fly fishing rod from.
Another time I was in Alamos at the gas station. There was a little store on the square, and I'm in there, and this guy comes up to me and he starts talking about fishing to me, and he actually spoke English. He was the sheriff or the cop of the town, and he had a 38 on the side. And I said, oh yeah, I got some fish in here. But he saw the fly fishing rod and he totally knew that I was not fishing for those fish with that rod. But he didn't say
Hey,
anything.
shark.
Yeah, I open the thing and I got all this fucking fish, seafood. I mean, like sea fish, right? You know? And he's like, he rolled his eyes, but because Mexicans really don't care, right?
Just get the talking fish with the button. No,
that
guy. Be happy.
I should have brought him down. He would have been very popular to trade item.
So you're making $25,000 every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm
in
making
the
50
80s.
grand a month.
Yeah,
Nice.
so $250,000 in today's dollars, maybe. You're making a shitload of money for Bisbee, the brokest
Yeah,
town in the world.
The problem was,
What are you doing with the money?
here's the problem. So my girlfriend's like, let's spend all this money. I said,
I'm guessing you're not with her anymore.
And I said, we can't spend the money. I said, we can't do it because it'd be so fucking obvious.
Yeah.
Because I did this one deal where I traded for this.
Is any of this true, or are you just doing Johnny Depp's Blow?
Well, Johnny did a very good
This whole
job.
fucking story is Johnny Depp and Blow.
Well, and he did a great job in that movie because I watched that movie and it made me cry. The first half of it was just about what I did. We would just get people on the street. Can it get us some fucking weed, right? And then we worked up our way, right?
So your girlfriend does what?
So she's like,
I'm sorry.
she wants to spend all the money, right?
Hang on, Chaille's gonna.
$50,000 in 1980 is worth $153,000 in 2015.
Well, this is 1980. This is the late 80s, right? So, but still, it was probably $100,000 a month, right? But I'm making $50,000 a month. So I built this bathroom when I have a safe in the floor, right? That my buddy who's a metal worker builds this nice safe that's and we poured in the concrete. And our buddy, who's a carpenter, takes one of those fucking vanities from the Home Depot, whatever, and it's got you open the doors, it's got a floor. Well, he makes it so that floor, you push down on it, it slides out, and we put it right over the safe in the floor.
I make $1,100 in merch on a week, and I go, I'm gonna build the same thing.
Exactly right.
It's $1,200 to build. Fuck it.
So we build this fucking thing. In the floor, and we have big padlocks on it. They're all built in there. You can't even it's hard to get at them with a grinder. And so we build this thing in the floor, and it turns out a cubic foot of money in $20 bills is only like $450,000, right? So I'm like running out of fucking space in this fucking thing. And I was afraid of the hundreds because I figured all the hundreds are phony. So I was giving those back to the Mexicans, and the Mexicans like the hundreds, right? I said, they're all phony probably. I was just being paranoid probably. But, just like, I don't want these hundreds because I couldn't spend a $100 bill.
In Bisbee,
In
who
Bisbee,
can break it? Yeah.
Ridiculous back then, and so I gave them all back to the Mexicans to buy the drugs. And so I had all these $20 bills, and like a cubic foot of $20 bills is like $450,000. You can get almost $500,000 in there.
And what's your girlfriend doing with them?
Well, okay, I forgot the girlfriend problem. Okay, so
I didn't.
Did you try folding them in half?
They still take up the same space.
Oh,
no, they
Double
still
the
take up same
space.
I don't think
Double
things all the way through.
Did you vacuum pack them, Dave?
We did actually, some of them, yeah, because I was shipping stuff. We'd vacuum pack
All right,
everything,
so,
right?
So how's this go wrong?
Oh, okay.
White smuggler problems.
I don't want to
Dave,
pin
can
my
I ask you one
ex-girlfriend.
question? Were
This is
you
terrible. I
still
don't
just
wanna-
driving the stuff over, or had you gotten an
Oh,
airplane
the
yet?
thing is, we had the airplane, and the whole thing with the airplane was, I was flying back and forth, right?
Where did you get a pilot's license in this short version?
I went to Cochise College, and I told them I wanted to learn to be a drug smuggler, and they said, "We'll sign you right up now." And that was my friend Lee, who ran the program. He signed me right up.
And
He had a special
he's dead.
program for drug smugglers.
And he said, "I'll sign you right up, Dave." And so
I don't think he's kidding.
I'm not kidding, but you can edit it if you want. And then,
No.
and then the night before I went to prison, I was at the Roca with my girlfriend, and Lee was there with his girlfriend, and he made us sit with him, and he bought us dinner, right? The night before I went to prison, because I was one of his most successful students ever.
All right, now you're getting way ahead of yourself.
he paid.
Fine.
He paid with $100 bill.
All right, so
I mean-
you get a pilot's license.
I had a pilot's license, but mostly I used the pilot's license in the United States, right? But not so much in Mexico. I used it a few times in Mexico, but mostly just to move money back and forth and to move people around and stuff. They had to do things because
Wait,
I
did
was.
you build a whole network of people working for you?
Well, actually, I did not have a network. I had a pickup network. they try to get me on
Kind of
conspiracy.
like the way I got this built.
Exactly
You guys
right.
did the bar, Sean
Everybody-
did the paint,
exactly.
Gino
Go to
did
Home
the
Depot
paint.
with a pickup, and you get your network.
Everybody's a independent contractor, right? So
for as long as they need money, and then
and
they're
you pick
back
them
to
up, and
unemployed.
then you do the thing. So they try to get me on conspiracy, but not really with anyone, because these guys are everyone is a pickup contractor, right? People that cross the border for you they're working right now, and it's like
It was all 1099 stuff,
it
right?
was 1099. It was all
Independent
1099 stuff,
contractors.
right? Exactly, right. So they did charge me with a conspiracy, but they never got me with anyone. And like conspiracy with who, right?
Were you telling your girlfriend you can't spend any money?
Oh, okay. I was
while
sorry.
you're buying a plane?
For business
that's a good point.
purposes.
I forgot about that part, but she wanted to spend money, and I was like, at one point I did trade some weed for an Alfa Romeo that I really fucking wanted really bad, right?
Legitimate expense.
And then, but I said, well, what am I going to do with this? I can't bring this back to Bisbee because I'll stand out. It's like Carlos buying Escalades,
Yeah, if you're gonna drive an Alfa Romeo in Bisbee, you might as well throw hundreds at the fucking necklace peddlers when you walk down the street.
I wouldn't be able to pull this off just on the taxes because I get so confused with taxes that I just overpay and over.
I just forget to pay.
I did that till I was 33. I just go. I just never acknowledge
You
that they
recently
exist.
filed 1040, didn't you?
I've been paying taxes the last few years because
You don't have to talk about this.
oh no, because now
when it comes to money like this, I mean,
because
this
now
is-
I think that I will when I turn 62, I'm going to get $150 a month.
And that's going to be during this podcast.
It could be, and then, how many 30 packs of Tecate that is?
That's pretty good money in Bisbee.
I always work out the math of I could retire.
It's over a 6-pack a day, and I could live on that.
Yeah, the booze prices here, when I go to other countries and say that you can get a handle of vodka for $9.
How big is a handle?
What's a handle?
How big is a handle?
The 1.75, the big one.
the one where you grip it.
The one with a handle on
Or
it.
is this in Russia or something?
At Safeway.
Oh, Safeway.
Safeway. It's kind of like Russia.
Well, Doug, when we go to Canada,
Yeah, $49 for the same
$49 for the exact same bottle shape.
And Canadians do drink a lot, so they
don't.
They make a lot more money than we do, I think.
And yeah, they don't have any healthcare worries when their liver goes bad.
Yeah.
They get a
bleed out of the
transplant.
belly button. I'll keep bringing that up. So now you're making all this money, and your girlfriend. Let's get to how your girlfriend takes this.
She wants me to spend the
Is
money.
she
I said,
responsible for you going to prison?
I don't want to say this because she lives in Bisbee.
Really? You tell me off the air who she is.
Hold on, piece of ass.
But she inadvertently gives my phone number to my connection because me and my connection on the East Coast never had each other's phone number. It was a bizarre arrangement.
Good arrangement.
Sounds
It was a
good.
totally great arrangement, but he ended up getting busted. But we never met each other. I've never met the guy. So I did know his name was Dave, but when they arrested him, they said it was the biggest arrest in Virginia of the year or something. I said 50 pounds. I'm like, that's nothing, right? But apparently on the East Coast at that time, the people are not moved. They're not sitting on 1,000 pounds or a couple of tons in their fucking safe house in Tucson, right? Unlike here, right? Where I would just drive around and go from one house to the other and because I got tired of smuggling it, right? Because I was busy with the brewery. So I said, okay.
All right. Well, now you're getting ahead of yourself because the people don't know. Did you bought the brewery? Electric Dave.
I built the brewery. I was the first
made
brewery in
Electric
Arizona.
Dave's beer here. That's the famous beer in Bisbee, Arizona.
What
I didn't
year?
know
It
it was
was.
built with drug money.
What year?
I built it in 1988.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was the
Wow.
I was the number 50 brewery in the United States at
Yeah.
the time, including Budweiser and Miller and Coors and stuff, right?
Yingling and Sam Adams.
And saying Yingling. Yingling's been there for a long time. And actually, Sam Adams, yeah, they were there before me because
So was
Fritz-
Sam Adams.
Fritz,
Barely.
Oh, no, actually, I don't know if Sam Adams
Anyway.
is.
Sam Adams
Sam-
didn't actually have a brewery.
No, Sam Adams wasn't
Sorry,
really there
that's my
before me.
fault.
Off
Sorry,
topic.
my fault. My
So
fault.
you built a brewery
Yeah.
with drug money. Brewery is as hard for me as prurient. Brewery.
Well, we built brewery, I can say because I've done it for a long time. Prurient, I haven't been prurient for a long time.
So you built it with drug money.
Absolutely. We have to, I built in this brewery, and so
But you built the brewery so you could go straight, right?
I was trying to do the brewery so I could drop out of the drug business and move on to a straight life.
You're trying to turn straight, just like George Young, as played by Johnny Depp in Blow.
You do what you can, right? That movie.
Honestly, if I didn't have a million people to corroborate this story,
that movie
that
with
were
Johnny
there
Depp,
at the time,
the Blow
I'd go,
movie,
"You're
the
George
first
Young
half
for
of that
Blow."
movie is so right on
ripped Dave
to me.
off.
No, they didn't rip me off.
He wasn't the only one doing it. There's Cocaine Cowboys too, and a million other. But
I was actually a fairly high level because I was dealing honestly with everybody, and so, I mean, my partners did get murdered and stuff, but it wasn't like
Killer got murdered. Right?
Killer got murdered, and
How did
my,
Killer get murdered?
It was down by
This fan base likes murder
oh, it does
and
okay.
prison, which we'll get to.
Mostly murder.
My two partners, Jose and Alamos, got murdered, and then so I went down to see him. Killer got murdered down in Platanitas, just south of Los Cocos, just south of
And he had AIDS.
He did have AIDS, and he was intense fucking guy, right? He was the first person I'd met that had AIDS. This was in the 80s, right? So
Death sentence.
So I didn't realize, but he had all the. Okay, so here's how I knew I
It's
had
called
AIDS.
Kaposi's sarcoma.
He had the Kaposi's sarcoma, right?
You're drawing little circles on your
exactly.
arm.
So this is out. So me and Killer are down in Alamos, and we go to the whorehouse. We go down to Navajoa, and we have our friend write a little note to a taxi cab driver to take us to a whorehouse, right? So because we said our Spanish is a little limited, so we go down, we take a bus down to Navajo, or I think we had money. We took the cab, right?
He actually wrote, "Go to a secluded spot. We'll give you blowjobs."
Well, no, he wrote that. Yeah, he
Give
wrote
my
that
friend
exactly. Right.
AIDS, LOL.
So our friend writes our friend who owned the restaurant that we owed all this money to, that we later paid off. He wrote the note to us. So we go down to Navajo, and the first cab driver, he says, "Ah, fuck you," right? And we go down next day, and he says, "Get in the car," right? So he takes us to this actually pretty cool whorehouse, and one of the girls spoke English really good, but it was really small, so we had to share share the same room, right? So Killer, I picked the girl. I said, "Well, I'll take you because you speak English, right?" And then Killer took some other girl that was pretty good looking, right? And then
He took the bullet for you? He went, you go, "Oh, no, I'll be with that
Wingman.
one."
no, well,
And he's like, "I'll get AIDS." You
Well-
go with that girl.
Well,
I'll
I didn't
get
know-
AIDS.
I didn't know
No,
he
don't
already
worry.
had AIDS.
yeah, Killer
I'll
already
take
had
the
AIDS.
one with sores.
And I didn't know the Killer had AIDS. I just, because I didn't know what that was back then. This was in the late 80s, so I didn't really know, right? So we're down there in this whorehouse, right? So, and then there's two little single concrete beds with mattresses on them, because it's Mexico, because everything's made out of concrete, right? And I'm fucking the girl that speaks English, and we're having a great time. And then Killer's in the bed next with the other girl, and she's like, once he takes his clothes off, because he doesn't have the Kaposi's where the sunlight shows. It's only on the other inside where he's not getting sun. And so she looks at that, and this is like,
Remember, people, if you have AIDS, hey, sunbathe.
well, this
Yeah.
is in the 80s, right? And
Mesh
so,
tank tops.
so she looks at him and she says, "No." And I'm like, "What?" Right? And so then they just kind of snuggle over there in the other bed. And I'm fucking the other girl that speaks English, and we have a great time. And then it turns out the Killer had AIDS, and that girl knew, this whore in Navajo knew what AIDS looked like in 1985 or 6. I mean, that was early on in the
Front line.
Yeah,
Front line,
I
right,
got free offers when we were filming at the Bunny Ranch for the Man Show for free girls from Dennis Hoff. And I'm going, no, these girls know the difference between a birthmark and a herpes scar. So I'll just watch you while I jerk
'Cause
off.
I really
How
didn't-
about that?
I don't
know
need a
what
bunch of thumbs down on my profile.
I didn't know what AIDS looked like
Bad
back
Yelp
then.
reviews.
This is like 1986, maybe 1986, 85. But this prostitute in Navajo, which is a total backward, it's like Sierra Vista of Mexico, right?
Yep.
And it's like, and she said she knew, and I'm like, wow. And then it took me till like a year later before I realized that girl actually knew what was going on, right? So, and I have to give her credit. I was like, wow.
Now I'm picturing Tom Hanks in Philadelphia as a character in Blow.
Humping on a concrete mattress.
Yeah. So how does he die? He didn't die of AIDS.
No, Killer is the first person I knew who had AIDS, and he did not die of AIDS. So we're doing this. Well, we were doing drugs. We had this whole deal set up out of San Blas area in Navajo, right? We're gonna, because I had the airplane, we're gonna run the airplane down on the beach and fill it with weed and then fly it up. And what happened
Like
was,
quickly, like jump it in there and then get the fuck
the
out.
way the beach was an isolated beach, we're gonna bring it up in pongas onto this isolated beach to where we'd have time to load the plane.
Pongas are little boats, right?
Pongas are those Mexican fishing boats that are like 20 feet long,
Yeah.
less things. So we're going to do it on that and just bring it up from other locations and bring it to this location that you couldn't get to by road that has a nice...
the endless podcast. Do-do-do-do.
Sorry.
Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. How does Killer die?
Okay. So anyhow.
Did they call him Killer because he killed whores with AIDS?
No, but...
I don't know what's going on anymore.
What
I've been
size
drinking
was
too much?
What size was the rebar in Killer's concrete shoes?
No, actually, Killer ends up... So anyway, he picks up this person in Puerto Vallarta for a friend of ours, and he's driving her up to Platanitas. This is before they paved that road. It was a dirt
Oh,
road.
come on! How much unnecessary detail can you put into a story?
Was
Okay,
it
sorry.
the decomposed granite or was it
Sorry.
actually dirt? I
Yeah.
remember.
Was it
Anyhow.
a dark and starry night?
It was, and these guys jumped in the back of the truck, and they pointed the gun in the window, and they said, pull over, and then he stopped, and then they tried to rip the girl who's sitting in the front off her jewelry, and Killer said, fuck you. And he had a gun in the car, but he couldn't find it because it was lost under the fucking floorboard with all
And
the
you
shit.
gave away your flashlight that one stop
And
so
Killer-
many years ago.
Yeah, exactly. He couldn't find the flashlight, so
You killed Killer.
he reaches over and grabs the fucking 32 caliber, and the guy shoots him in the head, and he's dead in 8 seconds, right? But then the girl, and there was a guy that he'd picked up at the airport in Vallarta, and the guy had no fucking clue, but he just kept driving on the dirt road with Killer, and he was a good guy. He was a football player sized guy, so he picked Killer up, who was 6'2" himself, and put him in the back of the truck and drove him up to the next town. And then they knew Killer up there, right? Because we're locals at that point, right? So the guy had no clue. He didn't know where he was going. He just drove the road, and he showed up in this town, but people knew what had happened, right? Because it was the way it is, right?
And what did you leave Killer's body behind?
We buried him there. I poured a baena.
Did you do this under like a weird floodlight from a 61, the high beams of a 61 Ranchero?
But
with
that's
a
exactly
shovel?
how we did the weed, though.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Electric Dave goes to prison, or else. Back after this cocktail.
No, wait, there's more.
There's more. I'm sorry. This is like stressful.
Hey, UK merch is on sale. Where? In the UK? No, just on the website. Can't deal with all those problems with selling merch in the UK, but you can get UK t-shirts on the website at DougStanhope.com and posters. We have, Jim Ether's doing posters too? We got posters. We have t-shirts. We have everything you need to go out in public naked. A poster to cover your genitals and a t-shirt to cover your voluptuous man top. And go to DougStanhope.com and look for the merchandise page. My World Tour. Asterisk. Places that speak English that will still book me. Yeah. Hey, if you're coming to Bisbee, and a lot of people tweet me that they are, if you're not a comic, I don't really pay that much attention. But if you are staying here, the rule still stands. If you're coming to Bisbee, stay at the Shady Dell if it's available, and I will step away from my book and come have a beer with you. Even Ichabod says, yay on the Shady Dell. TheShadyDell.com, TheShadyDell.com. It's a vintage trailer park. Trailers done to the nines just like it's 1958. You're going to love it. I will come down. I'll have cocktails with you. Maybe we burn a steak. I don't know. But stay there. If you're in town and I'm in town, I will see you there. And now back to the podcast, already in drudgery.
Can you drive it out of here right now and park it over where
So Chad, what do you think of the Ranger versus the S10?
Hey, we're rolling. Don't worry, we're rolling. We're rolling.
I'm about to buy a Ranger, I think. Is it
No,
93
you're-
down in Douglas?
You're not about to buy a Ranger. You're about to go to prison.
Or
the
else.
second half of this part 2.
Oh yeah.
But we left you last, burying your friend in a way that,
Okay.
that didn't actually happen. But I just made
I
that
did bury
up.
him down there, and and I was down in this graveyard down there.
Eat
and,
the mic.
Okay.
You just pushed it away as
Okay.
I
I thought we were off.
saying lean in.
I thought we were offline.
No.
But- okay, so I buried him down there. I went down there just after he got murdered, and my other partner Jose got murdered in Alamos within 2 days of each other. So it almost seemed like there was a little conspiracy thing going on, but I like to believe that it was just a coincidence. So I went down there to check on it, and then I went down to the graveyard in Santa Cruz where Killer's buried, and I lit up a joint and I smoked a couple, and I dropped it on the grave, and I poured a Ballena Pacifico on there. And I
For
said,
your
well,
fallen homie.
yeah, that's all you can do, I think, right?
So tired of black people stealing white culture. Pouring one out for the fallen homie.
Is that what that was? I don't know.
You invented it.
Oh, we did it right there, but poor Killer. And then I could, he had a wooden tombstone, so I could never find the grave again, right? It was unfortunate, right? But, anyhow, so I did it for several more years, and then, maybe not several more years, maybe a year or something. It got pretty heavy. I was making a lot of money. So
You get addicted to that.
you get like, I'm getting the
I'm
box.
playing Denmark.
So then
there's a reason.
I stopped doing the Mexico stuff so much, and I started just doing the stuff in the United States, because at this point I knew every fucking buddy. So I was just buying weed that they would bring up to the border.
So you're brokering.
And now I'm bringing stuff on the American side. They're just bringing it to me, like, they drive the bales over. I'm like, yeah, I'll take that. Nah, I don't want that. Yeah. And then I'd ship it off
the
to
Sam Walton of Bisbee,
yeah, so that I would ship it off
weed.
or something, and my policy was to make $500 on each pound, right? Because I said, fuck this. Because I was really busy. The brewery was actually doing really well at this point. So I don't have time to fucking run to Mexico. So we're getting these bales in, and we'd open them up, and we'd go through them, and we'd pick out the buds that are like that long and throw them in the drawer, and then we'd sell all the other shit, right? And then it turns out the fucking drawer gets to be like ridiculous.
You're pulling the good shit for yourself.
Well, we're pulling so much good shit that all my employees are like, Dave, just pay me in the fucking weed, right? We don't want the money anymore, right? Because we have so much fucking colas that are like 2 feet long, right?
Wow.
And they're like going, just sell me a quarter pound of that. I'll just take that for pay, right? So then.
So where's the fall?
Okay, so the fall is I was shipping it to the East Coast, and because my ex had given my phone number to my ex-partner, who had never had my phone number, it turns out just came out recently that they said, oh, well, they used the phone records, but they're really monitoring all the phone calls, and I could probably sue the federal government for this, but maybe
Probably going to lose.
Maybe there'll be a class action suit. And my buddy Larry says in prison, he says, someday we're going to get reparations for this, right? I said, I don't think so, right?
Yeah.
40 acres and a mule.
So we did this, and I get busted, and then I get busted, and then it takes me.
Describe the bust.
Oh, okay. So I'm up at my girlfriend's house, a different girlfriend, and then
Bisbee, old Bisbee,
old Bisbee, right? And so I drive out of my old girlfriend's house, and Buzz was my neighbor at the time, and then
local legend.
yeah, local. And so I'm driving down there, and a cop pulls in behind me. Then another cop. I'm driving a '57 Chevy panel truck. That's my beer truck at the time. So the cop pulls in behind me, another cop pulls behind me, and then I'm driving around. Then I go around the pit, which is in Bisbee, and then I'm driving around the pit, and then now I have 4 cops in tow, and I'm slowing down to like 35, and they're not passing me, right? I said, okay, here we go, and I got "Fuck the Police" on the cassette player right now, by NWA, right?
Jesus, how fucking old are we?
We're
You're
old,
almost
right? This
60
is old.
years old, and
It's
you're
old.
talking about being you're a grandfather, or could be.
I could be if I had children, right? But I'm like,
Yes.
I'm 58, right? So yeah, so I'm doing that. So I slowed down, and then in Lowell, I said, well, maybe I'll pull into Lowell, and they'll all pass me. And they said, no, they all pulled in behind me. And then they pulled me over, they lit me up, and I said, fuck it. So I just got out, and, Benny Scott was there, and,
Showing him the motor of your new car.
no, Benny Scott was at that point.
He's a cop, right?
He's a cop, but he
was.
Vince Madrid was there, and he was the Mexican guy with it. He was a sheriff, and he had the dark hair with the gray streak, and he was a pretty sharp looking guy. And actually, more when he said, "Dave, you came from my ex-wife's house," I said, "I don't think so." He said, "No, that's where she lives, Dave." I said, "No, actually, she sold it just last week." He says, because he thought I was fucking his ex-wife. That's what people say, but he was interested in.
He didn't care about the fucking
He didn't care about the weed.
$100,000 of weed.
What weed?
Bisbee police beat.
And then Vince says, and so anyhow, the 4 police cars goes, Howard, used to be the dog catcher, shows up, and he's like trying to arrest me, but he won't look at me. He's only looking at my shoes. Lenny Scott's there, Vince Madrid, and then this DEA agent with long hair pulls up, and he's got the fucking Eagle 9mm. He's crouched down behind the car, pointed at me.
He's Al Pacino.
Yeah, he want to be Al Pacino. And then Vince Madrid says, "Dave, that guy's scaring me. Would you just get in my car, get in the back? The door's unlocked, right?"
It's so great.
Put the cuffs on yourself. You know how they go.
And so anyhow, I get in there, and the DEA guy's like, just ridiculous, right? They're like totally over the top, right? Because that's their job, right? I guess, right? But I'm like, I'm just a local guy. I just came from my girlfriend's house. I was on my way home. They'd busted my house the night before, but I wasn't there, so I didn't know, so they tore it
Because
all
you were
up.
fucking that cop's wife.
I was fucking the cop's wife, right?
Anyway.
Me and Vince are still friends, I think. So anyhow, they arrest me, take me to jail, and then they said, "Dave, you're fucked. You're never getting out of here," right?
Had you been to jail before?
I think I'd been to jail when I was a hitchhiker for just overnight kind of stuff.
Vagrancy or something?
Vagrancy and public drunkenness and, that kind of stuff, right?
But now you're looking at serious shit. Are you panicking?
Probably, but I called my lawyer.
Time heals all wounds.
When you say probably, it's probably not.
No,
you either are or
he's
you're
told
not.
the story enough at Elmo's that no one can sit next to him.
I'm totally
We're
fucked.
the only people that are fucking interested.
I'm totally fucked, and they're like, okay, and they're saying you're not getting out of here, Dave. So I call my lawyer, and he says, well, I called this other guy named Mike Johns, who's a local lawyer here. He used to be, he's retired now, but so I had never met Mike Johns before. So the next day, Mike Johns shows up at the county jail and brings me some cigarettes, even though I don't smoke, but they're very handy,
Yeah,
and
they're currency.
He charges me $100 fucking, right? And he's the first time I ever met him. The guy's totally cool. He's like a Marine. He's a Marine cop. I don't know what they call him. Whatever, Marine police, whatever they call him. Right? MP, right, for the Marines Corps, right? So he shows up, and he's a pretty cool guy, right? And I'd never really met the guy, and he's way fun, right? So he says, hey, and he's like, he's because back then you could smoke still, right? I don't smoke, but he could, they could do it. So anyhow, we talk, and then the next day we go to court, and he stands up in front of the courtroom. And fortunately, the judge in Bisbee was on vacation, right? So I didn't have to deal with this guy. He used to be an ex-DPS parole.
You had to deal with Sherry in lane 4 from Safeway?
Exactly, right. And so I got this guy that was it was a nice guy. He was a cop. He was a judge in service who didn't even know me. It was a great thing, right? So I go over there, and my girlfriend Sylvia is sitting in the front row, flirting with him all fucking day. And she's this hot Mexican chick, right? And then, so by the time
doing the leg switch from not Indecent Proposal, but Sharon Stone.
Probably. I was actually locked up in this little thing with bars in the back, right? So I didn't really see that, but she'd been there all day, right? And then, so I come out finally, and they charged me with like 9 charges, right? All kinds of shit. I mean, they charged me with cocaine because they found some empty bindles. They charged me with peyote, but they actually had found my mushrooms. I'm like, well, no, you guys are so fucking dim-witted, right?
So dim-witted, you end up in prison eventually.
So they charged me, and then they charged me with possession for sale of, I think they busted me with 35 pounds at the time. It was no big deal. And then, and so then the Judge Kerms, who's like hanging out with my girlfriend all day, he says, oh, well, I'm going to release Dave to his girlfriend. No bond, just
righteous.
I said, really? I said, and then the prosecutor's like, and they take me back in the back and said, we have new charges we want to file. And they charge like another 8 charges on top of me. And then they take me back there and hold me for a while. And I'm in the back room with the bars with the other guys, and they're going, damn, Dave, who's your fucking lawyer? What's his number? I want to call him, right? Because my lawyer gets up in the front of the court and says, Dave has this brewery in South Bisbee, and he built it out there. He's the only one who knows how to operate it. There's beer in operation right now, and it could explode any moment and burst into flames. And I'm going, really?
Do you want 19 workers dead on your hands, Your Honor?
Beer fires.
We
are the
all
worst.
know how flammable
You know,
beer is.
And then he says, and there's no fire protection in South Bisbee. It could go up at any second, and we need to let Dave out of here. And the judge is like, really? He's like, I'm going, really?
Today you'd be a terrorist.
But I was the first brewery in Arizona, so really no one knew that the beer is really not very flammable.
So how does the court case end?
Okay, so then they bring me back in. They charge me with 9 new charges, and the prosecutors are all, we have all these new charges against Dave, and they're all very serious about it. And Judge Crims goes, yeah, conditions of release remain the same, and they just let me go, right? But they didn't bring my clothes over there to service because they figured, hey, Dave, you're fucked, right? So we're just bringing you the orange stuff. So I said, I'll walk out here naked. I don't give a fuck, right? You know, so I didn't have my clothes. So one of my friends there loaned me a T-shirt, and I walked out in the orange pants. We went to my bank, but they'd already seized my accounts. Yeah, so.
Well, what happened to that fucking thing you built?
The brewery?
No, the underground safe vault.
All the money.
Underneath the vanity.
They didn't find that.
All right, so you're good.
Because they're cops. They're not,
All right,
they're not the sharpest
But eventually
stick, right,
you
know?
wind up in prison.
I went to prison, yeah, and then,
Wait, how you get sentenced to what?
okay, so I get out, I'm out for 2 years before they sentenced me, right?
So you're on release,
I was released
pending.
With
then
your girlfriend
on recognizance
who
of my
fucked
girlfriend.
up and got you busted.
No, this is a different girlfriend.
Oh, good. Okay,
'cause,
good.
they-
Because that would be a long 2 years of, I fucking told you. I didn't mean to do
Yeah,
it. Now you're under my custody now.
How do you even know it's me?
It was very nice, actually, but it took him 2 years to take me to sentence me. And in the meantime, I shouldn't say this because,
Well, then
don't.
but anyhow, the courtroom drops my file behind a cabinet and they lose it for like a long time, right?
All right. But eventually,
They find it.
the long arm of John Law catches up with you. And the verdict
pathetic.
says guilty. And your sentence was
5 years.
in what kind of prison?
The ones they have in Arizona, the Tucson. I was in they put me in, they sentenced me to maximum, but I ended up in medium because,
Ended up? Did you have to go through maximum to get to medium?
well, I went to Alhambra, which is the processing center. I spent 2 months there, which is a very long time because they'd lost all my paperwork. Thank God. The people that were on my side kept losing my paperwork.
Chad Shank just perked up. Alhambra.
And then
I
they
know
were,
what's-
And the thing about Alhambra, you have these little slit windows like this to the ceiling, to like 6, and you can see the prostitutes down on Van Buren walking, right? You're all waving, come here.
On purpose.
Did you just do that on purpose? Do you not know my famous prostitute Van Buren story?
No, I don't know. I
Oh, all right. I thought you did that on purpose. I thought you were kind of name checking me.
Big fan, Stanhope. Yeah.
But, or wait, we can see the prostitutes
when did
down
they
there.
learn that you could fix air conditioning, which was an important part of your
When did you
imprisonment?
learn that was a dude? Because I learned immediately.
Well, later when I went to prison, when I was at the medium security prison, which I ended up in, which was very nice for.
Big ups. You want to give
Yeah, give a
shout out?
a little Yelp
Give a
review.
shout out to the
give a
fucking
shit out
warden.
to all you people in Santa Rita. You know, I hope I'm sure it's not as nice as it used to be. You got fucking tents there. You got fucking chain link. But we didn't have that shit when I was there. You know, we had we could wear cowboy boots. We could wear cowboy hats. We had Levi's. You know,
How long did
you
you
guys are all
concrete
fucked
beds?
now. No, we had steel beds, but we had those mattresses that are probably the same ones you got right now. Those 1.5 inch plastic
How long
ones.
of the 5 years did you have to do?
I did 27 out of 5.
27 months.
Yeah.
And the highs and lows? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Well, Santa Rita turned out to be a reasonably fairly nice prison. And
Medium security.
we still had weights back then, motherfuckers. And I had the weight pile. I go to the weight pile every day. I went to school. I had a job. I was First, I was the Maytag repairman. First, I was an electrician, then I was the Maytag repairman, and then I got the tits job where I was the air conditioning and heating guy.
Oh, that's that's probably what those guys that just escaped out of upstate New York had.
Exactly, right?
Wait, if I go to prison, I don't get to just take naps?
Well,
Because I don't want to do, that's a lot more shit than I do now. I don't want to do
Well,
that shit.
you're a broke,
No,
if you're just
if you're the HVAC guy in Phoenix at the prison,
in
you're
Tucson,
the king.
I'm the king, but if you're just a broke dick motherfucker like the 10 cent an hour guys that rake the rocks, then yeah, they're going to roust you out of your fucking bed and make you rake rocks.
So you could buy your way around a bit with that secret
skill.
vault.
I had the refrigeration job, so all the inmates had swamp coolers. This is Tucson. It's 100, and it's over 100 degrees for 90 days in a row, right? So
Swamp Cool's a trailer park air conditioner.
a trailer park air conditioner. But the guards had AC, and all the offices had AC. So if the guards would fuck with me, I'd say, well, I'm sorry, I can't get that part, right? You know, so they learned that right away, right? You know, so they already knew it
Shank.
before I got there, right? You know, so they already knew it. When I said that, they said, well, we heard this before, right? You know, so they were all very nice to me. And also I was a nice guy because I didn't do drugs. I mean, I was just a nice guy. I wasn't doing anything bad. I just happened to be in prison, right? You know, but it was pretty pathetic though. I mean, it's middle of January in Tucson at 2 a.m. It's fucking cold outside and the heater goes off, right? The heaters go off and they're electric heaters and they're 270 volt. They're 270 volt legs on a 440 volt circuit, I guess.
No, we got it.
You know, so it's pretty fucking hardcore. And so anyhow,
hardwired.
and so I got to work on this thing in the dark and the guards, they pulled me out of my cell at like 2 a.m. to go fix some heater. And he's holding the flashlight over me. And I'm like,
I'm not even doing the callback. Go ahead.
it's okay. And I'm reaching in there with one hand because it's such high voltage, right? And I'm trying to fix this fucking thing and the guy's holding the flashlight. And this guard says to me, wow, you have skills. You know, my wife just left me. I mean, I'm living in a fucking trailer. This is the best job I can get, but look at you. You have skills. And I'm trying not to fucking laugh. I'm like,
Are you coming on to me?
I got my fucking hand at 270
Sean Rouse
volts,
punchline.
right? You know, and this guy's telling me how hard his life is. I'm like, fuck you, right? So anyway, I fix this fucking heater. I'm just laughing hysterically, and then we go back to me and my cellie, who's also an AC heating guy, and we just laughed. We didn't go to sleep. We just laughed all night about how pathetic this motherfucking
like summer
guard was,
camp.
right?
They pair up the AC heating guys together.
They had to because they had to bring us out in the middle of the night all the time. But my cellie was very cool.
I hate to rush to a close, but there's no way we're doing a part 3 this drunk.
Okay, fuck it.
But, so you got out.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. And, you came right back to Bisbee?
They wouldn't let me go anywhere else. I had to go back to Bisbee.
All right.
So,
Parole, you mean?
parole,
Yeah.
They still had parole back then, so.
Released to a commune.
I was
Is
released,
it,
I released to my buddy's house.
wait, your business, Electric Dave's Beer,
That kept going, right?
that was still running your
It was in limbo.
27
No,
months.
they confiscated my brewery when I went to prison the first time.
They
and
bulldozed it.
And they bulldozed it.
Wait, you go to prison
I
again?
forgot to mention that one.
Do you go to prison again?
No,
'Cause
the
you
first
just-
time, no. But I mean, they bulldozed my brewery and they confiscated my brewery.
It was in what is that called?
I know,
South
but,
Bisbee,
but
which
you
is
said
no
when
longer-
I went to prison the first time. Is there another prison stint?
You know, I think that was just in one of my bad dreams.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
You just misspoke.
He did almost die later.
I know. That's what I'm cutting to.
All right.
Is the car accident.
But they ruined your brewery. They crushed all of the kettles and all
I
of
sold it
everything.
to a friend of mine and they crushed the building and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you sold, you cashed out at least.
No, my girlfriend cashed out, but I sold it to she sold it to one of my friends. It's all right.
It got rebuilt.
I have no animosity
It got
toward these
rebuilt
people.
somewhere else, and then you sold it.
Yeah, I don't
no
give
one
a
cares
fuck.
about that. We're getting to the car crash because otherwise, this podcast is one.
Are we over right now?
No,
Oh, we're
no.
still going? Okay.
No, it's because this was since I've lived here.
America's
I
Got Talent knows we go long, so they're going to
Okay,
push
so
it.
This
the-
is why I think this
that
is why
accident was like
Derek
6
is
years ago.
staying sober is to get you home because you came here on a motorcycle.
I can do it. I can drive home.
Nah, and that's what we have. Haven't you said that before? Take us back.
No, actually, I wasn't driving at the time of the accident.
Oh, really?
So I was delivering beer in Sierra Vista, and going to see my ophthalmologist, and then my car wouldn't start, my truck wouldn't start. So
That was the truck I gave you.
Cedric gave me this truck just for free, right? He just gave me the truck because it was fucked up. So I got the magic mystery potion from the car auto parts store and put it in the head gasket sealer, and it actually worked. You know, Cedric gave me the truck with the blown head gasket, and I fucking drove it. I was using it for a beer truck, and then it was cursed though. So it let me down in Sierra Vista, and then I called all my friends, and they were all busy, except for my one friend Kevin, who has a tendency to make hot rods and is totally insane, or was. And then he says, and it turns out I didn't realize when people have cell phones, when you call them, you don't know that they're at the bar. You know, like, it doesn't say, you know, like I always tell people not to call me at the bar, but I don't have a cell phone. But how do they know, right? You know, so I didn't know he was at the bar. He said, I'll be there in 15 minutes. It's like a 35-minute drive, right? You know, he's there in 15 minutes. So we're at the Chili's, which is pathetic because that's where my car broke down. I happened to be in the lot, so I was having a Rolling Rock looking at all the phony fucking vacuum formed plastic art antiques on the wall. And he shows up and I buy him a fucking Rolling Rock. We have a Rolling Rock. Gives me a ride back to my house on the San Pedro. I think we have a couple more beers. And then, but no big deal. It's like, you know, in Bisbee, you're not drunk until you've had like 6, I think, right? You know, so.
I'm so paranoid about it that if someone did, yeah.
So maybe we've had 3 beers, right? You know, and so then we leave my house in this fucking ridiculous 1932 Nash 4-door with the suicide doors, and the front seat is only like 36 inches wide because people.
A guy dies in this. You don't have to describe it.
I'm sorry with the details. So anyhow, we drive and the wheel breaks into fragments and the car just rolls 3.5 times and Kevin didn't make it, you know, and then,
so he was driving. What did you hit?
The car, well, we didn't really hit anything. What happened was this Ggreg mags from the 70s, the problem with magnesium is that when you.
The wheels. You talking about the wheels?
Yeah, the wheels. So when the problem with magnesium is when you cast it, it gets brittle as it ages once you cast it, and then it gets older and older. It gets more and more brittle. And I probably could have sued Ggreg for this, but I shouldn't. You might want to edit that.
You're suing everybody.
But I don't really care.
You're Saul Rosenberg. I'll sue you. I'll sue everyone.
But
wheels fell off the fucking rim.
The wheel just fragmented and came apart, right?
Jesus.
And the the car flipped 3.5 times. But it was a rat rod, so there was no glass, thank God. And so just in the front windshield. And so
Dave went like 70 feet in the air.
No seatbelts?
No, in 1934.
No, just painting the picture here. You flew.
You have any recollection of this? No?
My friend Alona saw the car go off the road, so she pulled off on the other side, and she said the car flipped 3.5 times, and she said I went as high as the power line poles.
Wow.
But the thing is, they're high tension lines.
Oh yeah, pussy. You couldn't take that.
Well, I think they're the 14,000.
What happened to you?
I was in a coma for a couple of weeks at least, and
this was before I knew you, but everyone in town knows your name, so
right.
I heard that you were dead too, and then you're
they said that I was dead, but you know, I was close. I was dead, but then I came back. They brought me back, and
what did you say to the doctors when they brought you back?
I said, "You brought me fucking back for this, you motherfuckers!" I yelled at them. Right?
Why? What condition were you in? Were you in a full body cast, like a 1940s slapstick comedy?
Yeah, I was really broken. Broke my back and all my ribs, and all it went all through my organs and stuff, and I was all fucked up. And they didn't expect me to live, and my leg was torn off, and.
Not literally torn off, because I'm looking at you with 2 legs.
Well, he's got a pretty.
Well, I got a pretty good damn scar on there.
Don't make me bring Derek in to tear his scars, because he had a similar.
Well,
story.
I know, yeah. So, but it was very fucked up. But I was in a lot of pain, and I was perfectly happy being dead, and they brought me back to life, right? And I didn't even know who I was, right? But I knew I was dead, and all of a sudden I'm in the blackness in this coma. Well, actually, I didn't even exist. And then they brought me back, and suddenly I realized I existed. and I'm in this black coma thing, right? And then I was in the coma for weeks after that. I didn't even know who I was, but I knew I was alive. But before that, I was not, right? So I was much happier not being alive because I was really pissed off. And it turned out my fucking surgeon that saved me had been to my brewery, and I drank beer with him before. It was like, it took me a long time to realize, I know that fucking guy.
Guess that's a closer. I was hoping to make you cry at the end.
Doug was hoping to hear something different. He wakes up like that every morning.
Who is that?
Why am I
know that
alive?
fucking guy.
Why did I wake up? Why did my eyes work?
Derek, are you sober?
No.
Yeah, Derek will get you home.
He's even been
I'll get
refraining from weed.
And we have a 15-hour sale for a motorbike here at Van Dyke.
No, actually, it's a good bike. It's a 1978.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
1978 SR 500.
What do you think it's
500
worth?
single.
What do you think it's worth?
Oh, it's probably
Suicide
worth.
doors?
No, it's a single. It's probably worth
for the
1,500
driver,
or
not the
more.
passenger.
All right, we'll start the bidding on eBay. We'll put the link in the show notes at $300.
The paint's a little rough.
Good
but
luck,
it runs really
bidders. Good luck.
Electric Dave and Cedric, thank you for being here. Thanks for building the bar at the new Funhouse
Beautiful bar.
on the Shot Clog podcast, the Doug Stanhope Shot Clog podcast. And I'm sure we'll have you back again because you're never out of stories.
I got a few more.
I know. We're gonna. I'm still learning after 100 episodes.
Be in the car with him for
The
4
problem
hours.
is we just ran out of digital, so
Yeah.
And you only have 128 gigabytes.
The
right?
internet just ran out. This is the 101 episode, part 2 of the 100th episode. And then we have a couple in the bank because we wanted to shoehorn Electric Dave in here. And then Chad Shank will be guest hosting because of your insistence. While I'm in the UK and Europe. They're both Europe, I guess.
I don't think it's in Europe. I think UK's not in Europe.
They probably have some beef about it. If you say, "Oh, I'm in Great Britain," and you go, "It's not Great Britain, it's Scotland," and you go, "What's the difference?" Well, there's no difference really, but fuck you. So they probably say they're not part
It's an
of Europe
attitude
too.
thing,
Yeah, they're miserable cunts, and that's why they like me. So Chad Shank will be holding the reins.
I'll come try. Talk
Yep.
to Chaille.
Yeah,
Thanks for all the nice tweets, everybody.
yeah, you can
That's
stop.
nice of you.
You can stop twittering now
Yeah, I'm
because
about
he's
to
gonna do.
delete my
He's
app.
doing it. He's doing it.
I'm gonna get up after 4 hours and see if I can walk. All right, thank you, and listen to the next podcast. Shot Clog. Use it in conversation. We'll see if it'll be like Negronis, where we made them exist again from 1940. And now everyone's gonna go, "You're a fucking shot clog, man. You're just a fucking loser who people only talk to you because you pay for the drinks."
No, nobody would ever tell the shot clog that to their face, so you'd have to tell your buddy. He's such a fucking shot clog, man.
No, they would.
That's-
That's the rub. Is they would
And he wouldn't
after
care.
the shot clog bought him too many drinks. You go, "You're just a fucking shot clog anyway. No one even fucking likes you."
Yeah,
And,
fucking
and he'll
shut
do it again the next time.
Yep. Until the next time.
Hey, this is Chaille. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Playing us out is Mishka Shubaly with Stupid Dreams from his new album, Coward's Path, available on DougStanhope.com.
Well, there you lay in your diaper, just as cute as could be, propped up on your elbows and smiling at me. I drove in for your birthday, your mother drove me away, but that woman taught you how to crawl, and that'll come in handy someday. Hey kid, hang on to your dreams, your stupid, hopeless dreams. They'll grow meeker and colder as you get weaker and older, making the same money you did when you were scene. No, it's never too early to throw in the towel, but it's always too late to die with dignity. So give up, give in, surrender without a fight. This is your last chance to snatch failure from the jaws of defeat. Wild horses on the jukebox, or whatever the hell it was. But we were young, we were in love, we were drunk and on drugs. Your mom can say what she likes about how I wasted my time, but I had so much fucking fun burning out at 29. Hey kid, hang on to your dreams, your stupid, hopeless dreams. They'll grow meeker and colder as you get weaker and older, making the same mistakes you did when you were 17. No, it's never too early to throw in the towel, but it's always too late to die with dignity. So give up, give in, surrender without a fight. This is your last chance to snatch failure from the jaws of defeat. 12 years in public school, 15 minutes of fame, 8 hours, 5 days a week for a parking spot with your name. Compare the man you wanted to be to the man you became, and realize, man, those two guys, only their shoe size is the same. I won't have any children, I never had a career, I have no fucking regrets, I guess I'll have another beer. Hey kid, hang on to your dreams, your stupid, stupid dreams.
No, this is fucking great.
It's a little hard on me.
No, it's good.
This is what we do.
Exactly.
We get fucked up, we run long, we talk over each other,